Hi, my name's Ian Wright, and this podcast is one of a series of 10 podcasts that I'm starting today, and it is really a beginner's course in meditation. We'll call it How to Meditate. Why am I doing this? Well, I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I have done various podcasts as introductions to meditation, but I always was wanting to do a very simple beginning course that people can listen to and work with. So the format of this course is there's going to be 10 weekly podcasts. Once a week I'll make a podcast, and what I would like, if you would want to try and do this, is I'll try not to talk too much through them, but they'll be kind of practical in that go through a sequence of techniques, and I'll talk you into a place of meditation where you can either turn off the tape or leave it running and enjoy, hopefully, the space that we'll set up together and learn just to develop the basics of a meditative practice. I'm doing this really, I suppose, as an introduction to, I've got a book called The Dynamics of Stillness, which is coming out on the 3rd of October in Europe and March 2020 in America. And there will be an online course, a video course that will come out maybe January 2020. But this is a kind of beginner's introduction that will kind of lead us into that. And there'll be 10 parts, and we're going to go through some various... Today we're going to talk about how to get into a space of meditation, and we'll go through a sequence of objectives which we can use as tools to help us in a process of meditation. Now, I've done a series of talks so far about the benefits, if you look at old podcasts, of why would we want to meditate? Why would we want to sit quietly for 10, 20, 30 minutes in the day? What is the purpose of that? Well, there's a plethora, a whole ton of highly researched benefits, from all sorts of health benefits through arthritis, cardiovascular issues, blood pressure, etc., etc. I mean, inflammatory conditions. This is in so many different situations. In terms of real physiological health issues, meditation is proven time and time again to be helpful. Of course, it's helpful for our mental health, anxiety, depression, etc. Very, very well proven its responses and its helpfulness. And I spend a lot of time working with people who have anxiety. And I'm actually just finishing a book called The Anxiety Breaks, which is giving specific techniques on working with anxiety. And meditation is a very proven, important way of addressing anxiety, but there are special tricks you need, because it's quite difficult when you're anxious to meditate. It's actually the opposite, and it's very hard. So that's a whole different subject. But simply, we live in a crazy world where our senses are super overly stimulated. Our mind is overly stimulated at all times. And to actually come to a place of quiet, neutral, or a place of where we feel stillness and peace and tranquility can bring us back to ourselves. We can kind of bring our energy in, restore ourselves, and actually through that achieve some degree of clarity, because often we're reacting to life and surviving, and actually if we come back truly into ourselves, no matter what stresses and strains are happening in life, we can produce an action, not a reaction to life, and it makes life better. So what's not to do? Why, I mean, who should be meditating? Well, actually, I treat children of 5, 7 years old who are anxious, and actually very simple meditative techniques would be really nice for children. And I've taken children through these processes of doing simple techniques in how to find a little bit of peace and calm in themselves. But everybody should be having some kind of practice, and it takes 10 minutes a day would be enough, literally, in order to restore ourselves and rebalance ourselves and refind our health, actually. And people actually very much, it's very important as you get older as well, to help with sleep. For example, a meditative practice is shown to help with sleep disorders, which often raise themselves up as you get older, and certain anxieties as well. So basically everybody from the age of about 7 or 5 to as old as you can get, should be, I think, having a little bit of a practice. And I'll talk later on in maybe one of the later parts about actually developing a practice. But today, let's just start and start at the beginning, and let's find a position. Now, you can meditate in any position you like. You can meditate standing on an underground train, or you can meditate lying down in the bed. The danger when you're lying down is you can fall asleep. But it is actually a place where you can lie and be comfortable. It's, and if you're not going to fall asleep, there's nothing wrong with lying down. But most people obviously will sit in a comfortable position. Obviously from yogis will sit in a kind of full lotus position with one leg over the other. That's very hard, and you need quite a lot of hip flexibility. So most of us in the Western world find it quite hard to be in that position. But a nice simple way is to have your feet on the floor, so you're connected to the earth, and your back is straight, your spine is straight and fluid. Your neck is slightly, so your eyes are slightly heading downwards towards the floor a little bit, which just opens up the very top of your neck, lengthens out the top between the head and the neck, and gives that some space. And your spine is relatively straight, but you're not holding tension in it, so you're relaxed but quite straight. That's helpful because you have this kind of alignment, and you're sitting on top of your sacrum at the base of your spine, and your legs are on the floor where you're connected and you're grounded. And that's a great starting point. And the important thing is to feel somewhat comfortable. Now, you may hear some thunder in the background because it's thundering outside, but we're going to try and find a little bit of peace and quiet in the storm, as it were. So I have done a podcast recently called The Beginning of All Meditations, which is quite good to reference with regards to our starting point. But I'm just going to go through this idea of starting at a point of neutral, because it's impossible to meditate without taking your brain out of gear and coming to, it's like a car that's in drive. And if you're in drive, you can't be still, and you have to take your brain out of gear. And there's specific ways of doing that, and I'll go through a couple right here. The most simple way of taking your brain out of gear, because we're filled with thoughts, feelings, emotions, stresses and strain, life, shopping lists, you name it. There's everything going on in our minds, and that is normal. The hardest way to stop all that noise, all that internal chatter, is to actively stop it. If you try and put the brakes on the chatter of your brain, it won't work. It actually just puts tension into your system. And actually, what we're trying to do here is take your system into a place of ease. So the first thing is just allow your brain to do whatever it wants to do. Let it be. And we're going to use breath. We can use our attention in many different ways, and I'm going to develop some of these ideas of attention, awareness, breath, etc. in the coming weeks. But here we're going to just use our attention, and we're going to bring our attention to something that feels soft or quiet in our breathing. So we're going to breathe light, not heavy breathing, we're going to breathe gentle. And just allow your attention to slowly come towards your breath. And try and sense and feel something that's quiet, delicate, soft, gentle within your breathing. Actively soften your breathing. And just keep your awareness there. Now what will happen is the chatter in the brain will start up, which is normal. Just allow that chatter to do what it's not doing. Don't engage it. Don't stop it. Just let it do its thing. But in the process of allowing it, bring your attentional awareness back to this soft, delicate quietness in your breathing, in your chest. And just watch that. Just watch your breath in. You can slightly have a longer out breath, which can calm down your nervous system a little bit in terms of the vagal nerve autonomics. So just if you breathe in through the nose for 3, and then you can breathe out for 4 or 5 counts, and then take a breath in for 2, and then breathe out for 3. So a slightly longer out breath tends to settle the nervous system down a little bit. But remember to breathe soft, breathe delicate, breathe gentle. That's it. So after a few minutes of allowing the noise, but bringing your attentional awareness back to the softness in your breathing and the quiet, things start to go a little quieter. The brain kind of goes into this place where it's just delicately quiet. And that place is a place of neutral. That's where we start to meditate. Now, meditation is a process of attention, awareness, and our attention awareness can be taken to many different things in meditation. There is a million different meditative processes to do, but for here, and our purposes here, we are just going to focus our attentional awareness on this quiet feeling that's growing, this delicate feeling that's growing through our breath. And as our breath goes quieter and everything starts to relax and our brain stops its grip and gets quieter, we're just going to enjoy that sense of quiet. Sometimes when your breathing relaxes like that and softens, you can feel this warmth in your chest, nice warm feeling that starts to develop in the chest. Allow that and allow the quiet to develop, and just let your body rest in that quiet space just for a few minutes. And every time your brain starts up, if it does, allow it, bring your attention back to the softness. And the feeling is nice, it's meant to feel nice, and that's okay. It's actually a great relief to allow that noise to settle and to be in a quiet state of neutral is incredibly restful. It's like we need to be out of gear sometimes. And actually it's very important to be out of gear before you sleep, because otherwise it's hard to sleep. So this is a good thing to do before you sleep. Take your brain out of gear. And just rest in that quiet state. And as you stay in that quiet space, Stay there as long as you feels necessary and feels good. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, it doesn't matter. And each time you do this process, it will become easier to do. And as you do it, your body and your brain will recognize this state of neutral, this state of quiet, and come back to it. And you may find yourself in the daytime, just everything going quiet and everything coming to rest naturally, just for a few moments. Pay attention to those moments because they'll grow. What we pay attention to grows, and as you spend more time in this neutral, you'll find that you become clearer and you come from a point of action, not reaction to life. And it feels good, most importantly. I wish you well.